Football is awesome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Roots. I'm your host, Justin Thomas. Do me a huge favor, like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you can. Appreciate all the love I can get and all the help I can get. Wow, what a great day of football. Let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be reacting to the Rams Eagles and the Ravens Bills contest, and I'm just so elated with the kind of football we got today. I thought it was good football today. I thought the weather really had an impact. I thought it was just typical tough physical January football, and we it just doesn't get any better that when it comes to watching the sport. So let's jump into it. Let's talk some ball and review the Rams versus Eagles. I thought the Eagles opened up really strong in this game. I thought they opened up really strong. Jalen had that 44-yard rush touchdown to get him up, and then I think they missed the extra point. Stafford ended up having that. Following that, the Rams went down the field and scored. Stafford had that 4-yard touchdown to Higbee. A couple of punts. After that, and then Saquon Barkley had that monster 62-yard touchdown. And kind of once I saw that, and once Saquon really got going, you could kind of see that the Rams were doing a really good job at the beginning. I think their defense was playing really well at the beginning. I just think I knew I knew right after that I didn't know if they would be able to maintain it and carry it on through the end of the game. But, they did a good job. Cardi hit a 30-yard field goal, making it 10-13 Philly, in the second. Then another handful of punts. The Rams had 4 sacks in the first half, and they were looking really good. The protection was pretty good, and there were a couple times Jalen was just kind of sitting there. But I feel like in the first half, Jared Verse, and there's a clip of him running over the guard, just because he was in his way. He wasn't even intending to. He just kind of pushed him and just ran him over. It was incredible. Then a handful of 3-and-outs, and then finally we got a little Cooper Kupp action. Stafford had a 30-yard throw to Cooper Kupp to kind of set them up. Kyrene at this moment in the game was looking great. It felt like kind of towards the middle of the game, Kyrene had really found his rhythm. But as we found out later, the turnovers really ended up affecting him, and that ultimately just came to the detriment of to the Rams, and there were guys slipping all over the place today. I mean, it was like at the beginning of the game was that wet, slushy snow that just falls in slush and then kind of half melts, so you have a lot of water. It's very wet, and it led to slipping all over the place. And towards the end of the game, it got colder and it really started to turn to snow, so it was a little better. But man, they were slipping all over the place at the beginning of the game. Rams D line looked great. I just don't think it was enough, to slow down Saquon Barkley. Just how when it comes to running the football, the Eagles, they have probably the second best O line in football, second to the Lions. It wasn't gonna. I just don't think it was gonna be. I don't think it was gonna be easy for the Rams to keep that up all game, just because how good the Eagles front is, and I'm not saying that the Rams defensive front is. Clearly they're full of rookies that have a huge promising upside, so we'll see how that goes the next couple of years. But anyway, Elliott ends up kicking a 44-yard field goal, and then Rams get a safety, so it goes 15-16, with 26 seconds left in the third. This is where the game really started to get exciting, but right here is when that moment hit, and I was like, Kyrie Williams, fumbles the ball. Carter ends up punching it out, and it was just like Eagles ball, like the LA 20 or the LA 2-yard line or something. It was crazy. Of course, Johnson false starts, but so the Rams actually end up holding them to a field goal, which super helpful. So now Elliott hits a 23-yarder. We got 19-15 Philly with 13 in the fourth, but then bam. Once again, the turnover battle, the weather, Stafford ends up fumbling it. Bond recovers it, takes it back to the Rams' 38-yard line. Elliott hits another field goal, so we're talking 15-22 with 6 in the fourth. And then, Rams don't end up doing anything. They end up having to punt it away. Saquon hits the outside, hits a 78-yard touchdown. Saquon being Saquon, 28-15. And that kind of ultimately ends up, taking out the game. Parkinson hits a 4-yard touchdown for the Rams, so it goes 22-28 in the fourth. But then LA gets their 7th sack, gets the ball back. Stafford throws a deep ball, 37 yards for Nakua. But then Stafford ended up getting sacked on 4th and 11, and that kind of ended the game. Final thoughts on the game. I thought LA fought really hard. I thought they really put their best foot forward. I thought they did what they could. I just think the Eagles roster is just better. I think the Eagles roster is a more mature team. I think they just have a lot more experience when it comes to probably playing in the bigger games, probably playing in the postseason, just a little more experience, just because some of those veterans on that team are no stranger to the postseason. So, I thought. Yeah, I thought weather did play a huge role, especially at the beginning of the game with all the turnovers. Obviously, I don't, that's just part of the game. Football is an outside sport, and rain or shine, they always say. So that's part of the game. But I think weather did play a role for the Rams and the fumbles, and there was a couple drives where Matthew Stafford threw perfect passes, but Puka couldn't hold on to it. I was like, that's just it's good football, but just not fundamental with the catching. So and it could be the weather. So Saquon was also fantastic. He's just too good not to give credit for the game. I think the keys to me for the Rams going into this game was, can you stop him? And I thought they were pretty effective at it, except for allowing the big plays, and the big plays are the ones that kill you. Those long runs, and Saquon had 2 runs over 40 yards today, and it was just crazy. He played so good. I thought the Eagles' defense, their secondary was flying around. I mean, they were flying around. They were playing, good man coverage, even with the slippery, wet, kind of icy terrain out there. They were playing really well. They were playing really good on the receivers. Um, Rams defense was great, but I think they just started to fade. They got tired, and then ultimately, I wrote down on my notes at one point the Rams receivers were sucking. It's just because they couldn't catch the ball, and I don't know if it was whether or not. I'm not going to put it on them, but they got to catch the football, and it seemed like the Eagles just didn't have that problem. I know AJ Brown didn't get like any yards today, so I'm sure there's something in the media about that. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good game. I think the Rams have a lot of promise. I just think, I think the Rams will be very careful as who their next quarterback becomes, because as Matthew Stafford gets older, it'll be interesting to see how Sean McVay kind of deals with the transition into a new quarterback. And the Rams are always going to be, with Sean McVay at the helm, the Rams are always going to be a team that's there. So I think they're proud of their season, proud of how far they came, week 5 or 6, week 8 even. If you looked at everyone would have looked at that team and said, no way in hell they're making the playoffs, let alone going this far to the divisional round. So hats off to them. Obviously a huge hats off to the Eagles. When it came to my prediction for this game, I was wrong. This is the one game I did call the upset on. It was looking pretty good for me, but didn't end up working out. I had Rams 24-20, and the actual score was Eagles 28-22. So I was a little off, but let's go on to the next game. Ravens-Bills. Holy cow, what a great football game to end the evening on. MVP versus MVP, and it was fun to watch the whole time. Just two masters of their craft going at it, and I think everybody enjoyed every second of it. Lamar had that beautiful opening drive TD, but you could just see Josh Allen was just so poised on the sideline. He was ready to go. Didn't even bother him. Lamar hit Bateman on a 16-yard touchdown. Then Ray Davis, who had a great game today, he ended up hitting a rushing touchdown to tie at 7-7. Then Lamar Jackson actually threw an interception to wrap on the Buffalo Bills, which kind of definitely was a momentum shifter for me that I could see. I could see the Bills defense was playing really well up until that point. They still allowed a touchdown, but it's almost like the Bills defense had that sense of like belief after that, like, we can do it, because they were able to keep Lamar in the pocket, and Lamar had, he sat there a long time in his decision making. The receivers couldn't get open, so I think the Bills secondary played really well. And then Lamar ended up fumbling later. Von Miller picked it up for a 39-yard return. Allen scored a 1-yard touchdown. Bills are up 14-7. The Ravens couldn't get anything going, and then Allen goes back down the field, 4-yard touchdown, 21-10 Buffalo at half. And this is where I'm like writing in my notes, oh crap, like Lamar needs to figure it out. And I thought they were running the ball fine. I just thought they should have ran it a little bit more, just a tad. But I thought they were running the ball fine, which is my usual complaint with Lamar in the postseason. They just, for some reason, the Ravens coaches just stopped running the ball and put it all on Lamar. I thought Lamar didn't have to wear his Superman cape today. I thought they could have won this game without it. I just think at one point, once it got to halftime, like Lamar was pumped. You could see he was composed, but the Bills' offense was. It wasn't really Lamar that was the problem. I think the Bills' defense just couldn't handle it. The Bills' offense was doing whatever they wanted. I mean, it didn't even. I mean, whatever the play was called, Josh Allen was going to make it work, and it kind of did. I mean, it just happened. The Buffalo defense was also flying around too. I mean, it was like they weren't just going to give it to the Ravens, and I think the Ravens knew that, but I just don't think they reacted to it as well as they thought. Tucker ended hitting a 47-yard field goal, making it 13-21 with 9 in the third. I mean, this is kind of when Derrick Henry really started to get hot. He was hitting a lot of yards at this point. He had that 5-yard touchdown, but they missed the 2-point conversion to make it 19-21 Buffalo. And then this is where it just kind of falls apart, and you're like, fuck, like Mark Andrews fumbles it 44, that 44-yard catch, Buffalo ball. And then the Bills come back. Tyler Bass hits a 21-yarder for 27-19 Buffalo, and then Bills would get the ball, and the Bills are just moving up and down the field. You could see the Ravens, who are the number one defense in the NFL this year, mind you, especially when it comes to the run. The Ravens just looked their line looked non-existent. They were just tired, and you can see it in the way they were lining up. You could see it in how fast they were getting to the ball. You could see it in their stance. Like, man, they were just fundamentally tired. And then so Lamar to a likely 24-yard touchdown, making it 25-27 Buff with a minute 33. And then so yeah, that was awesome. So like right at the end of the game, Lamar gets throws a dart to likely, and we're like, all right, this is it. And then Andrews not only with that fumble today, Andrews drops the game-winning 2-point conversion. It's right in the breadbasket, and he just fumbles it. He just just doesn't have it. Just hits him like a rock in the chest. He goes down and just can't catch it, and that's just one of those fucking catches you have to have, Mark Andrews. I'm sorry, you just cost, no offense. I know he's a human, and I would have probably made the same mistake, but they did ultimately cost him, the Ravens, the game and the team. But the Ravens should have played better. The Ravens have way too many turnovers. Congratulations, Bills. Josh Allen played awesome. The Bills played amazing. The Bills defense played great. The Bills offensive and defensive line played great. Josh Allen played great. The Bills receivers played great. I thought they blocked well. I thought they got open when they needed to. I just thought the Ravens, I thought they just didn't seem like themselves today. No, I don't want to say they lacked identity. I thought they had identity. I just don't think they were able to get that groove. I don't think they were able to get that groove going, but they had a lot of offensive yards and a lot of. I just think it wasn't. I just don't think they were feeling 100% about it. When sometimes when you're playing really well, and it's not ideal, you can kind of get in this weird funk, and I think that's kind of how they were playing. Baltimore ended the game with 3 turnovers, that's what ultimately broke the camel's back. The straw that broke the camel's back, that did it. They had more yards. They had 416 yards to Buffalo's 273 yards. Derrick Henry didn't play half bad, but Buffalo limited his big plays, and that's all it took. I mean, and not only that, Buffalo ran the ball really well. So anyway, final thoughts: Buffalo ran the ball really well. Ravens, I don't think Ravens could use Derrick Henry how they wanted. Lamar's interception, turnovers like the Ravens fumble and the from Andrews, and then interception from Lamar. And the after that fumble or after that interception Lamar threw, the Bills ended up scoring. So that's 6 points that could have been taken away, which could have changed this whole game. If you don't throw that interception, you don't make that mistake. Next thing you know, the Ravens are headed to the championship game. And my final thought: Buffalo secondary played outstanding tonight. Played lights out. Matt Milano's that at linebacker's a beast. I mean, he comes with bad intentions. He plays the ball well. I think if with him 100% healthy, at one point he was like right under Fred Warner, right under Roquan Smith, Patrick, Dre Greenlaw, Patrick Queen. He was up there with those top echelon of guys when he wasn't injured, but he's kind of been dealing with injuries the last 2 years. So Matt Milano's a great linebacker in this league, and I think he just played his ass off. So congratulations to the Bills. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Ravens now headed into this offseason. I'll kind of touch on that probably more in a later video as to what their future looks like, cap space, and what the Ravens decide to do. And then the Buffalo Bills are gonna go play the Chiefs, which will be, oh man, in Josh Allen we trust, right? They beat him earlier this year, and I'll preview that game eventually, and we'll talk about it. And Yeah, what an exciting matchup. And then the Commanders are going to go play the Eagles back in Philly next week, so same place. So that'll be an exciting game. I think my prediction for the Ravens Bills game, my prediction was 28-27. The actual score was Bills 27, 27-25. Wait, I have it written down wrong, but um, yeah, so the Ravens was 28-27, actual Bills was 27. So yeah, I just think congratulations to the Bills. I'm super excited to see. At this point, I do think the Bills are the team that can ultimately kind of end this three-peat shot for the Chiefs. I think the Bills are playing such dynamic football. I think with the struggles that the Chiefs offense has had, I think this could really be Josh Allen's year to get it done. It'll be super exciting to see that. And then on the latter half, Commanders Eagles. The Commanders did just beat the Eagles, but it was a high scoring affair, and Kenny Pickett was the quarterback for that game. I think if the Commanders can really contain Saquon, this could be such an exciting matchup, and maybe Jaden can get that first rookie to ever make it to the or be a start a Super Bowl. So yeah, as always, appreciate you guys. Share the video if you can, subscribe, and as always, let's talk some football. Love you.